okay? We're gonna commit to this year. It is 2025. I'm gonna start reading Funny Story. I just need to say that I had tried. Okay? Within the last 9 months, I have tried. I filmed things. I've edited them, but then the gap between things that were recorded was just too big and I eventually gave up, but that's fine. This is a new year. We're starting out a little bit sick, but I have a good feeling. I feel that if I remain optimistic, then things should go okay. Putting my foot down, I'm standing on business, and I'm gonna do it. I have yet to film my top whatever books of 2024, and I will do that, okay? That will be posted before this video, fingers crossed. Let me just say I didn't finish my reading goal of 40 books. I got very close, but you know, I just didn't do it. And that's okay. I have to keep telling myself that, or else I'm just gonna mental spiral into things that are not good for me. I'm gonna start off reading Funny Story because I think I'm in the mood for this now. Emily Henry just somehow keeps coming out with more bangers year after year, and I feel like I cannot keep up. But we will remedy that with reading this. I've read her books pretty consistently every year. I loved Happy Place, so I'm really hoping that I like this. I know a lot of people have high praise for this, and so I trust them. I trust Emily Henry. I trust her fans. I trust everything overall, and I'm super excited about it. I love a good messy storyline. Yes, let's go. I'm about 100 pages into Funny Story, and I'm liking it so far, but I'm not completely in love with it. It's been a while since I read an Emily Henry book, so I'm not sure how I felt 100 pages in with the other ones. I'm not completely in love with this. I think that the characters, Miles and Daphne, have a good friendship going right now, but again, I don't know if it's because I'm 100 pages in, but like, I don't know. I'm needing a little bit more development between the two, and also like just individually. I feel like we have like the whole situation kind of fleshed out, and it's messy, and I love it a lot. I'm hoping that Miles and Daphne get to know each other a little bit more before like something happens between them, because it's like there's already like this kind of like sort of like physical attraction that's happening between, or at least like Daphne towards Miles. And I will say I'm noticing a lot of pop culture references in here, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I'm noticing it a lot. I'm gonna keep reading and then I'll update you. I am now on page 157, I believe. 157. It's growing on me. I don't know. It's growing on me. And it's a good thing that it's growing on me. I still feel like maybe a little bit development could be happening here. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get like hit by a big truck later with Miles information. I don't know. I'm kind of wanting that like slow getting to know each other right now, because like feelings are happening, but I feel like we don't know each other. And so that's just kind of where I'm at right now. It's good. I think it's funny. A lot of the characters are really they're just fun, and yeah, I'm having a good time, which is good. I think I'll stop here for today. I have to go somewhere. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get any reading done this weekend, but possibly by Monday I will read more, but I'm super excited. It's been a while since I updated you guys, and I haven't done a really good job at updating you on like what I do on a daily basis. I've just been so busy, and I feel like I've lost my head that like I can't remember things. So I'm updating you now. I finished Funny Story 2 days ago, but I probably started it like 2 weeks ago. It's been that long. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I know. This one was not one of my favorites. I would say this is probably my least favorite. That doesn't mean that I did not like it. I did like it. I started crying while reading this, and it was like this book triggered something inside of me that like brought up memories and feelings that I thought I forgot about 3 years ago, but I apparently have not forgotten it. So that happened. Otherwise, I would say it was fine. It was just fine. It's still kind of what I said earlier in this video, where I wish there was a little bit of a slower growth in like the budding friendship and relationship between Miles and Daphne, because I don't know, I felt like we moved a little too fast from it. I don't know. Like, please tell me I'm not alone on this. It felt very fast but also very slow. That's how I would describe it. But I did really like Daphne and Miles as characters, you know? I feel like they're very imperfect and very flawed, and I like that. I like that it's like something like in the book that you would see with their actions, not just like what like people like say when they talk about these characters. Like their actions show that they're flawed, and I like that, you know? There's like some showing with this and not just telling. It was just fine, you know? And for my first book of the year, it was a good start. I am excited for the next Emily Henry book. I am not sure about what it's about, but I'm very excited because it's Emily Henry and she usually never disappoints. I will continue reading on and I will continue updating you here because I feel like this vlog has been very short because I've just forgotten about it. I think the next one I'm going to read is the third book in Stephanie Archer's new series. It's not new, but you know, I'm excited for it. I read the first chapter, I think the first 2 chapters. It's not starting off strong, but the fake out was one of my favorites last year. So I'm holding out hope for Stephanie Archer. You know, she did not disappoint with the Queen's Cove series and this new series of hers. I did not like the first book. I loved the second one. And so I'm hoping this third one holds like its torch. So I'm excited and I will update you on if I continue it or if I end up reading something else. You know, I feel hopeful for this year that I will get to a lot of books. It's currently 2 a.m. I have work really early tomorrow. It's been a couple weeks too since I've updated you. I'm almost done with The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. That's kind of what's been going on. But I'm just here to talk more Emily Henry. I'll talk about updates later on. Just like some thoughts that I'm having right now in this very early morning. I'm pretty sure these are thoughts that have been shared with the world already, so I'm not saying anything original, but I just kind of want to talk them through so it makes sense to me. The iconic 5 Emily Henry books. We have Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers, Happy Place, and Funny Story. The 5, which is about to be 6, and I'm super excited for it. But with those 5 books, I want to talk about People We Meet on Vacation and Happy Place and also Funny Story because I'm just having a lot of thoughts and like there's so many literary parallels that are happening with those books that I feel like I want to talk about them. But like your favorite out of the 5 Emily Henry books that I just mentioned, it's kind of like a Raven Cycle situation where your favorite character in that series says a lot about you. So like your favorite Emily Henry book really says a lot about you, and I know it's not like accurate. Goodreads is never accurate with their ratings and everything, but I use it and I believe a little bit of it. Okay, a lot of people use this site. I trust the judgment of that. Yes, like looking at it, out of the 5, Happy Place and People We Meet have the lowest ratings, and I'm kind of appalled because although I've talked about People We Meet on my channel before, and so if you've seen any of my other videos, you kind of know my thoughts on it, but it's not my favorite Emily Henry book, but it's also not my least favorite. I would have to say like Book Lovers might be my least favorite, which is probably unpopular because it's a lot of people's favorite, but it just didn't really stick out to me. But with People We Meet, the main reason why I didn't like it was because of the structure, and I've talked about it with Happy Place, but the structure was my favorite part. And those 2 books are basically kind of the same book. It's 2 people who go on vacation, have a relationship, it falls apart, and no one knows why. The no one is us. And kind of the people who are in the story too. They go on one last vacation together and they rekindle what tore them apart. And yeah, the structures are really similar. So kind of talking about this more and tying in Funny Story, they have very similar traits because I'm like, my mind is so jumbled right now, but let me talk about Funny Story. The entire time I was reading this, I was like, this sounds familiar. And I think Emily Henry really likes to play with romance tropes, and I love that because like with Book Lovers, our main character, she was a really busy girl who was not willing to give up that lifestyle just to live in the countryside for her man. And I love that because a lot of Hallmark movies are like that, where the busy city girl moves to a small town is changed by the small town folk there who convince her that Christmas and love are the life savings when they're oftentimes not. I feel like Emily Henry does that a lot. And with these 3 books, funny story, Daphne, she had her ex-fiance had a best friend, a childhood best friend, who confessed her love. He confessed his love to her, and they ran off together, and Daphne was left high and dry. Very, very familiar in People We Meet. I haven't read People We Meet in a while, so I could be misremembering things, but I so clearly remembered like people feeling jealous, and Alex and Poppy, who are the main character, or Poppy's the main character, but like the main couple in that book, Poppy and Alex, they've been best friends for like since college, which is like a long time for them. At the starting point of the book, they both enter into like different relationships, and their partners always like are jealous, and they're like, something has to be going on between you and Alex, or you and Poppy. Like, I'm just very uncomfortable with this, you know? So when I read Funny Story, I was like, this is a very similar dynamic to that, but we're getting it from the other perspective, and I quite love it. I think it's amazing, you know? Because like oftentimes you read like those stories about like, oh, 2 best friends who like have always just been friends, but then like they're secretly in love with each other and they run off into the sunset, and you're rooting for them, but what happens to the other person? And Emily Henry has told both sides, and I love it so much. And so like the crossroads of that is just great. But also, I just want to like talk about like Happy Place. Like, I've talked about it before, but like you have to be a very specific person to like Happy Place. My coworker said that it wasn't really her favorite because it just didn't stick out, but other people have talked about like, why would this neurosurgeon leave her job and follow her boyfriend into... See, this is also connecting to book lovers. You guys, the Emily Henry cinematic universe, or the literary universe, I'm enjoying it, and it's fantastic, and it's amazing, because like a lot of people complain like, why is this neurosurgeon quitting her job and becoming, I think she becomes like a pottery maker or something, and moves to a small town with her, I think, fiance. They end up being engaged again and married possibly by the end of it. I cannot remember, I apologize. And people are like, I just don't understand it, all of this, and I was like, you guys, you don't understand. She wasn't happy with her job. It was making her miserable. And the only person she found comfort in was her partner. You know, it holds a very special place in my heart. I've never gone through anything like that, but like, I love a second chance romance. It is like my everything, because I just think like that turmoil and like having to go through those feelings are amazing, and it's great, you know. And I also want to talk about a different book that I read last year, and I wish I would have talked about it on here, but I didn't have the capacity to vlog anything. It was Rules for Second Chances by Maggie North. This one is also a second chance romance book. Our couple's marriage is in a crisis, and so they do things to like try to rekindle that feeling again, and I liked it, but overall like tonally it wasn't great. And that's why I love we're really jumping off into different points here. That's why You Deserve Each Other is my favorite, because with Rules for Second Chances, I felt like, and also with that one Anna Huang book, it's like her 3rd book in her new series, possibly, I think it was King of Greed, that one's the second chance one. That one, let me tell you, we'll get back to Emily Henry somehow, but King of Greed, that was a 3rd act spread out through 500 pages. That was all it was, and it was not that great, but it's Anna Huang, and I will still continue reading her books. I think I've said before, it's like my relationship to Anna Huang is my relationship to Glee. It's good when it's good, but it's really bad when it's bad, you know? I'm just holding out hope that she'll make me feel something again. Like how she did with Twisted Games, because Twisted Games is her finest work, in my opinion. Twisted Games and the first 2/3 of Twisted Hate, masterpieces of Anna Huang. And I feel like she just hasn't gotten there yet. It's a whole spiel that I can go through about Anna Huang, but I'm not gonna do that. King of Greed, it was basically like an entire 3rd act for 500 pages. That's why I didn't like it. Circling back to Rules for Second Chances, King of Greed and Rules for Second Chances, like, again, similar, like marriage in a crisis, and they're trying to like work things out, but there's still that element of sex in it, and it just didn't make sense to me, because we're circling back to You Deserve Each Other now. You know, I've done this a lot where I've gone to a lot of tangents, and I've gotten a lot better at getting back on track. Anyway, this is why I loved You Deserve Each Other, because with Nicholas and Naomi, their engagement was in a crisis, and there's that loss of of connection, and through that there was like that loss of intimacy. And so without that intimacy and without that connection, they couldn't have like really enjoyable sex. I feel like that would be a very crucial part. Again, I've never gone through anything like that, so I don't know, but I feel like, I guess like having sex with your partner is like supposed to be like this emotional and like intimate connection feeling type of thing, or maybe it's not for some people and it's just doing the deed. But I feel like for like, if it's like in a romance book, I feel like that connection and that intimacy is like not really there because something's off balance. Someone's not paying attention enough, or someone's not like, you know, putting in the work anymore. And I just felt like King of Greed and Rules for Second Chances should have had kind of that element of like, we've lost this connection and intimacy, like I don't know how we can get it back, and like it's really not going to work with like being intimate with each other, where that's going to bring it back. And so that's why I didn't really like King of Greed. Had its own faults, but like Rules for Second Chances, I really liked it because both of the characters were very sweet and very kind and caring towards each other. They were really just misunderstood, and again, that misunderstanding caused a lot of like emotional connection loss, you know. So I felt like it should have gone about in a similar manner to You Deserve Each Other, where maybe they shouldn't have been intimate with each other throughout the whole thing. It would have made more impact. But also, I think for Rules for Second Chances, it was like weird tonally. I think I've already said that. I think I tried to be funny where I felt like parts should have been really emotional because like they were getting onto topics of like things that they weren't talking about that was like really messing with the relationship, and our main characters just kind of kept like trying to throw jokes, and I was like, now is not the time. That was like my biggest gripe with it. So with second chance romances, coming back to Emily Henry, that's why I love Happy Place, because it's great and I love it so much. Everything about it is amazing. And I guess you can say like People We Meet on Vacation is also kind of second chance. They just weren't in a romantic relationship. But I think why I love People We Meet on Vacation so much is because of that friendship aspect. The way that their friendship is portrayed. It's this very intense thing where you feel a lot of care and you feel like you've found your missing piece. And a lot of the lines in there are amazing. And you know, if you've ever gone through a friendship breakup, it's really freaking hard, like worse than an actual romantic breakup. That's what People We Meet on Vacation was. I loved it because they were best friends, and then just slowly like they just stopped talking, and it was like, I just don't know what happened, you know. Well, we do know what happened, but just that feeling is terrible. And I feel like People We Meet on Vacation like depicted that very well, and so that's why it also has a special place in my heart. Anyway, that was just my really long tangent about Emily Henry. I just love that she plays with romance tropes, and I love that with every book that she writes, it's getting a glimpse of like into different types of relationships, and it's really neat and very fantastic. And you know, I feel like a lot of people would like put Emily Henry books into like the romance genre, but whenever I recommend it, I always recommend it as like women's fiction more than romance. Yes, there's romance in it and it's like kind of like the main plot, but at the core of it, it is about the women in these books and the struggles that they have to face and kind of the arcs that they go through. I love it, and that's like my main takeaway out of the 5 books that I've read from her. They always have this like quality that makes me want to cry. That's it. I need to go to sleep. We're reeling through the midnight street. This dream isn't feeling sweet. We feel so scary getting old. We'll end up painted on the road, red and chrome. It's basically almost March. I apologize. I've let time pass by and it's not good. But I'm just going to talk about the books that I've read since reading and finishing Funny Story. So considering it is basically March, because it's February 28th, I've read 8 books this year. And I will say that's a big feat for me. I don't think I was doing this well last year, or I was this far into reading so far last year. So yeah, pat on the back for me. First book of this year was Funny Story by Emily Henry. You know my thoughts if you've watched this video. I got an advanced reader copy of The Raven Boys, the graphic novel. Let me just say I gave it a 4 stars, mainly because I love the story so much. But I will say there are some changes here and there, as an adaptation would have, you know? I'm expecting it. But I don't know.
It's really hard to like transfer so much of the words into like a graphic novel or like even into like some other adaptation. And with me just being so heavily invested in the series and like I love it, it's one of my all-time favorite series. I still love the graphic novel, but like I will always love the novel more. So that's how I felt about it. So yeah, I give it a 4 stars. The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. This needed a third act breakup, or at least an argument. You know, I think a little arguing is needed sometimes in a romance, and this kind of desperately needed it. Goodness. I hate to say it, they were a little too chummy with each other. It's a romance book. I know. I love myself a no third act drama, but sometimes this time it needed it. I gave this, I think, a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I still think the second book is the best book. I'm gonna read the next one, obviously. The next one I read was Failure to Match by Kyra Parsi. This one was a really big shock because, you know, I just like a lot of romances are like hit or miss. This was a hit. I loved it. I'm always very standoffish with romance books because I've become really picky with them, but this one was a really good one. It was super fun. Just a grand old time. I will say though, this was another one that needed a third act drama, breakup, fight thing to happen. You know, I understand like what the male main character went through, but a little arguing. Considering this is an enemies to lovers, not really enemies. Are they enemies? I think this is proper enemies because they're both on the same side, but like they're constantly fighting and they have this like one common goal, you know? So I think this is like proper enemies to lovers. That's like real life, you know, considering he's like a billionaire. I don't know. I think billionaires are kind of like fantastical, mystical beings, you know, like when I see one in real life, like face to face, then I could probably say they're real. Otherwise, that's a little bit too much money for you. I did really like this one. Should I talk about what these books are about? I'll talk about this one because I actually really liked it. This one is about... And also, let me just preface that this book and this series, because I did read the first one, this is the second book in this series, singular perspective. And I appreciate it. I love it. I think more romance books need to be singular perspectives. I honestly don't really care for the male perspective oftentimes because it's oftentimes just reactionary and I don't need it. I really don't need it, especially if there's not an arc with one of the characters. I don't need it. It's not needed. I don't care for the other person's perspective if we can get the whole story within one perspective. Okay, that's just my gripe with a lot of romance books now that I'm reading heavily more of them. This one, it's our main character. She's a matchmaker and she has this one client who like is just like refusing to like be matched with someone, and like this is a pretty successful like matchmaking like company that she works for, and so like she's never had like a failure to match someone, you know? But then like she goes undercover, goes on a date with him, and then she like goes to try to find out like what is up with this guy, but then her identity is found out and a whole slew of problem, and then it ensues with this kind of enemies to lovers. Again, proper enemies to lovers. Yeah, forced proximity. It's great. I loved it. I think I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was that like mind-blowing. I think this is like at the top of like my ranking right now, like this one. The next one I read was A Deal with the Bossy Devil, also by Kyra Parsi. First book of this series. I didn't like it as much. It read like a first book in a series, you know? And the fact that this is supposed to introduce us to like the whole world, it was okay. You know, I think the pacing was a little bit off. The casual banter was just not my favorite. Otherwise, it was pretty solid. I kind of loved it. It was a little icky, if I say so myself. And I wasn't really comfortable until like some things were said. It was a little icky. It was a little messy. Oh yeah, now that I'm remembering it, it was kind of very messy. 3 stars for this one. Next one, I read my first Julie Soto book, and it was her first one, I believe. Forget Me Not. This one I like, surprisingly. This has been on my TBR list for a while now, and I just wasn't sure if I was gonna get to it, but then my coworker started talking about it because I think Julie Soto is coming out with a YA fantasy. We got on the topic of talking about Julie Soto, and so I told my coworker that I'll pick this one up just to kind of get a feel of it. And I actually really like this one. I will say though, because this is told in past, present timeline type of thing, I like the present timeline a little more than the past. I feel like the past, the pacing was a little bit like between the two characters. I wasn't really invested in the way they got together. It was off. I feel like it was too fast that they got together, and I wish there was a little bit more build up because the present is like magnificent. I love a good second chance romance that does not involve cheating. I love it so much. It's amazing. And like the present, I kind of wish this was just told in like present tense. And I understand with like a lot of second chance romance, like you have to tell the past and the present. Oh, because this was also the male main character, his perspective is in the past, and then the present perspective is in our female main character's perspective. And I really, really like that. But again, I just was not invested in the past timeline. The present one was just magnificent, juicy. It was delicious. I wish we got so much more of it. The yearning, I love a good yearning plot line, and this gave. Not a lot, but it gave. And our last two books, I'm dabbling into the historical romance scene. I've read a few in the past. I have just not really gravitated towards it, but again, the same coworker that I talked about, she's very heavily into historical romances and has been trying to get me to read more, and so I picked these up, not on her recommendation as she clarified for me, but she did mention them to me. So the first one I read was The Beast Takes a Bride by Julie Ann Long. She's apparently a pretty popular historical romance author. She has a lot of books, and this is like her most recent one in one of her series. It was okay. It's marriage in a crisis. It's not second chance romance, really. It's more marriage in a crisis. But my only thing is I don't like side character perspectives. That's why I have a really hard time with fantasy. I think now that I'm like talking about it, I'm realizing it. I have a hard time with a lot of fantasy because it just switches perspectives too much, and I usually only tend to care about one storyline or like two storylines out of the 10 storylines. If you watch my Chain of Iron video, you would know how I feel about multiple perspectives. It had that in here, and I was not a fan of it considering that it's a historical romance. I feel like the story should be centered around our main couple. I like the main couple. Again, the yearning in this, I love it. I love a good past present timeline. You know, it hurts the heart, and I love it so much. I liked it, but it was too much side perspectives in it that I was just, every time we got to like a side character, I was like, I don't care. I really don't care, but hurry up and say what you need to say. I think I ended up giving this a 3 stars. The next one I read, I liked a lot more, also by Julie Ann Long. It started with a scandal. Our main character, she's very much, I can fix him. I can't relate to that, but I can appreciate a good story like that, you know? I like this one a lot more. It didn't have like the side perspectives. I thought that like the build up to like them really liking each other was really nice. It wasn't, I won't say it's like amazing. It was really nice, you know? Single parent in this one. How would I, close proximities? Yeah, it was good. And I think I gave it 4 stars. I mean, compared to The Beast Takes a Bride, this one was like miles long better, in my opinion. The ones I'm reading right now, Change of Heart by Kate Canterbury. I love Kate Canterbury's In a Jam. It's like one of my favorite romance books. It's amazing. This one, it's like kind of like Grey's Anatomy, you know, where our two main characters sleep with each other, like a one-night stand type of thing, and then they find out that they work with each other, the female main character being the boss this time around. So, you know, I'm like halfway through on this one. I took a break from it because I just don't know how it's gonna go, because like at this point the characters are together again 50% of the way in. This is a pretty long book. The yearning was very good in the first half. I just don't know how and where we're gonna go with like the rest of like the 50%. I'm pretty sure there is gonna be a big like third act breakup, which I'm gonna appreciate because this one really needs it, considering like all the little layers that are in it. I like the writing so far. I like our two main characters. I think that their chemistry is really solid. Yeah, I don't really know where where this is gonna go. Let's fingers crossed I finish it because I'm already 50% of the way in. Otherwise, the one that I'm like avidly reading right now is I Am the Cage by Allison Sweet Grant. It's marketed as YA, but I would say it's a new adult considering that our main character is 19 and she is living on her own and kind of like on the more mature side. She moves to this small town and it kind of goes into this past and present storyline. Again, we're reading a lot of that this year. This one is about medical trauma and the effects of it as our character has gotten older. I'm really liking it so far. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a 4 or 5 stars for me. It's a mix of prose and poetry, which I appreciate, even though I'm not a big fan of poetry. Yeah, this one's a really solid one, and I'm hoping it will make me cry. I haven't cried in a while, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward for that like one day that I just cry, because I've come really close many times, but it just hasn't happened. And this got me. I probably would have like started full on sobbing, but I had to go to work. I had to like hold the tears back. That's it. I'm gonna end this here because I just don't think I should drag it on this long if it's been like 2-3 months. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Fingers crossed. Bye.